Honourable Chris Finlayson.
Speaker, I support the motion moved by my new colleagues, but I want this afternoon to begin my contribution by paying tribute to George Tanner QC, who died last month. George was formerly Chief Parliamentary Counsel and served Parliament with distinction for many, many years. At the time of his death, he was a law commissioner. George was a great advocate of a plain English approach to drafting legislation. He knew that the law must not only be clear but accessible to the general public. As he once said, a state in which people cannot plainly understand the laws may as well be a lawless state. I look forward to the passage of the legislation bill in the near future to bed in a lot of the changes which were started by George Tanner. He was a fine New Zealander, and I'm sure all parties are very sorry that he's left us. Mr. Speaker, what, frankly, could be better than being a minister in a government led by the Prime Minister? During the 2008 election, National put forward a clear and detailed policy program. That program resonated with the public, and we were returned to office with a greater share of the party vote than in 2008. It's a stunning result, pretty well unmatched in New Zealand's political history, and it's something the Prime Minister should be very proud of. The public's endorsement of this government is illustrated no more clearly than in Rongotai. National was only narrowly beaten into second place in the party vote by Labour. The Labour Party's majority dropped from over 4,000 in 2008 to under 500 in 2011. I'm coming to that. It was a very good result. But in answer to Mr. Hipkins, Mrs. King must of course be congratulated for her emphatic personal win, and I'm the first person, I think I was the first person to congratulate her. As I said to her on election night, the result was testament to her excellent service as an electorate MP in Miramar, then Rongotai, for 18 years. I'm certainly going to be following her political career in Wellington with great interest in the next few years. In Rongotai, at least, Mrs. King ensured that the Labour campaign was not political vaudeville. We had a very good campaign in Rongotai, a number of feisty meetings across the electorate. I was disappointed that my billboards were defaced by Green activists, organised by someone called Jolly On, sounds as though they went to Christ's, the social justice outreach coordinator of the Christchurch Anglican Diocese. Not surprisingly, in response, Russell Norman invoked the Sergeant Schultz defence of I know nothing. Methinks the stuff of a TUI advert. Other than the behaviour of Green vandals, I think the battle for Rongotai was a fair and a very good-natured campaign. And so to a second term in government, and I have to say of those to whom much is given, rightly raised by the Labour members, much is expected. So what I want to do is say something about the work going on in my portfolios. Mr. Lees Galloway repeated in a somewhat formulaic and repetitious manner, where's the plan? Well, I want to say something about the plan going on in my various portfolios that I am truly honoured to be able to work in. First, treaty negotiations. I want to say something about treaty settlements, which are a very good news story for all of us. Almost half of them have now been concluded. There have been challenging negotiations, and there'll continue to be challenging negotiations, but I'm very grateful for the support of my colleagues, in particular the Minister of Maori Affairs and my Chief Crown negotiators led by Paul Swain in getting settlements completed. This government is committed to concluding just and durable treaty settlements as quickly as possible. Indeed, as I told the House today, even the Human Rights Commission has praised our work in this area. And so I want to thank all members of the House, especially members of the Business Committee, for extending House sitting hours on Thursday, 16 February, so that we could progress treaty bills. The passage of these bills is very important because settlements cannot be finalised until the legislation is passed. and delays in legislating mean delays for iwi in sharing the benefits with their people and putting the grievances behind them. So I think it's a very constructive approach. I hope we see more of it. Indeed, I had a very pleasant letter from the leader of Ngāti Manawa this afternoon thanking all of us for this approach and for progressing their settlement. I'm really honoured to be the Associate Minister of Māori Affairs, and I'm very much enjoying working with my colleague, the Minister, Dr. Sharples. Delegations have just been finalised, and I've been given responsibility for reform of Te Ture Whenua Māori Act, Māori Land Ratings and Tax, and the Māori Trust Boards Act. There's a big issue here which I think if we can do well, we will do a great deal to advance the economic cause of Māori in this country. How best to deal with Māori land has been a perennial issue in this country for a very long time. There are 1.4 million hectares with over 2 million ownership interests and 26,490 freehold titles. 61% is held in titles less than 5 hectares and 30% have no formal management structure. A significant amount of this land is unproductive and it's increasingly held by absentee owners, and I probably would see more of it than most MPs as I go around the country as Minister of Treaty Negotiations, and I see the potential if we can address some of the issues requiring reform into Ture Whenua Māori, I believe that we can do great work here. There are also very significant rating issues which need to be addressed, and I look forward to working with Dr. Sharples on that issue. So, Mr. Speaker, there are ways the potential of the Māori land estate can be realised with significant economic benefits to individuals, and I'm certainly going to be focused on these issues over the coming term. That's my plan as Associate Minister of Māori Affairs. Let me look at the arts, because we have so many plans in the Arts, Culture and Heritage portfolio. I could be accused really of almost doing too much. National, of course, is the party of the arts in New Zealand. We've always been very proud of that mantle. Two major projects this year are the Frankfurt Book Fair and the expansion of a very interesting program called Sistema Aotearoa. This year, Mr. Speaker, New Zealand is the country of honour at the Frankfurt Book Fair, I think probably the world's oldest fair. It's about 500 years old. We're set to receive and are already receiving significant media exposure throughout Germany, which is the world's 4th largest economy. We have a year-long opportunity to take centre stage through a series of very high-profile events, and as the record shows in relation to other countries of honour, it has had significant benefits for them with tourism. The second program I'm interested in is growing what I call Sistema Aotearoa, modelled on a Venezuelan program started in 1979, which has now about 240,000 students, mainly aimed at helping underprivileged kids have the opportunity to be involved in playing a classical instrument and working in orchestras. It's been adapted throughout the world from northeast Brazil to the Merseyside. I started a program last year in Otara. 98% of those who are participating are Pacifica, and it's been an unqualified success, and there's a concert which members may be interested in attending in Auckland on 10 March. So there's a huge amount of work being done in this area, no lack of plans there. So I think it's obvious just from my portfolios what a busy government this key administration is. As the Minister of Health said, look at each and every portfolio and you'll see busy ministers working on any number of plans, be it the ones that I've outlined in my portfolios, be it addressing debt, be it improving public services or rebuilding infrastructure. We have a very ambitious agenda to improve this great country of ours, and as I say, I'm conscious of the responsibility on me in my areas, and I'm looking forward to working on some of the issues that I've mentioned this afternoon and on many other issues over the course of this government.
Michael Woodhouse.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. In my strong support for the motion, I want to explore in this call the issue of income inequality and its link